What's up, guys? Shane here. I'm doing a video response to Jake from the Outdoor Initiative. What's up, brother? You have an awesome giveaway. Congratulations on 100 subscribers. Now I think you're around 318. Awesome channel. I personally love what you do. I like the fact that you keep it real. You do what you like. And you're really good at it. And I also like the fact that you're just an all-around good guy. I mean, look, brother, you got a family, you know, and we understand how it is. You know, you have kids, you want to teach them the outdoors. So being a father, it's pretty awesome. And being able to take my kids outdoors and have new experiences with them is something that nobody can take away from me. And you know, I just want to tell you that you're doing a great job with your channel, and I love the fact that you throw your family in the mix. To me, that means a lot. So, to your video, as your video response, you know, tell us a story, bro. Or the ladies are welcome too. Basically, I was putting our bikes away, or putting them up, and just kind of hang them up out of the way, get them out of the way, you know how it is. Anyway, I was hanging them up and I started to think to myself, you know, I really wanted to have a good video response and I just couldn't think of a story to tell you. And as I was hanging these things up, I remembered our first bike packing fail. Give you a little bit of a background, is I love to cycle a lot and I love to be outdoors, so you put the two together, I might be a little bit addicted. That being said, I like to share the outdoors with my children. I get really excited when I see my children outdoors doing things with me, or doing things that I've showed them how to do, or even showing me new things. You're never too old to learn. So I got excited about taking my kids camping and doing backpacking. I figured we'll go bike packing. So we loaded up the bikes and a bunch of gear, and loaded up the, we call them the car bikes, loaded up the trailers to pull the kids in. And I put the kids in my trailer, and I put some sleeping gear in mine, and the kids were rocking my iPhone, so they had a little bit of Netflix to watch in case they got bored. One of my older boys, he had another trailer, and he had all the water and the food and the camping gear. And the other older boy, he had a backpack, and I believe he had a bag thrown over the back of his pack, like a pannier. So, you know, we hit out on the trails, and we figured we're going to go out on the trail. I don't live too far from the Trace Trail, the Wabash, and we decided to head out to that. So, from my house to the bottom of the hills is about 2 miles to flat ground, and then from the flat ground to the trails is about another 3 miles. So after a 5-mile ride, we hit the trails. Well, about 4.5, 5 miles. So we hit the trails. It's 85 degrees. It's still early. It's gonna get hotter. We know that. By the time we hit the trails, it's getting warmer. Sun's coming up. It's hot. It probably hit 105, 110 degrees. In the Midwest, that is one muggy SOB, especially if you're on a bike pulling kids. I pulled up the screen in front of them so they could just really enjoy the air. And yeah, so anyway, we get out there on the trail. We're about a mile out, and we take a break, and it is hot. We're sweating, bugs are sticking to us, and we decide where we're going to go. We decide that we're going to go about 30 miles, 35 miles out. Okay, so we know that we hit the 35-mile marker, which we already had marked, and we decided we were going to camp in that area. So I grab my bike, and the little guys are in the trailer, and I go down into this waist-high grass. And I'm pushing this bike through this grass because I'm going to do some stealth camping in this great tree enclosure. I mean, it was beautiful. We just get to the tree enclosure, and something bites me. And something else bites me and bites me again and again and again and again and again. And I am covered in these flying spiders. So I grab my bike, this is mine, I grab my bike and I'm freaking pushing it and I'm pulling this trailer behind me and the kids are in there, they're completely enclosed to keep the bugs off them and stuff anyway to begin with, because I knew there were going to be some bugs, but I don't know what these suckers were, but they were biting me, they had little vampires. So I'm running across this dang grass field and my older boys are laughing at me because they don't know that I'm being bit yet. So they're laughing at me and then I hear one of them yell. They're getting attacked. And this, like a black swarm is following me. So I run, and I'm running with my bike and my kids in this trailer, and they're freaking out because I'm freaking out, and then my older boys start yelling, and they're running across the field with their bikes. We get to the trail, and it's like suddenly it just stops. They leave us alone. It's like no man's land. They're not going to go to the crushed limestone trail. So we decided we're going to go back about 5 more miles to this area where, if you're a cyclist, they call it Margaritaville. It's on the trail. It's actually like a big open area where they had brought in some picnic tables, and it's just a kind of really good meeting spot if you're doing like say a taco ride. So anyway, so we decided to go back about, no, I'm sorry. It wasn't 5 miles. We were on a totally different town. We went past 2 towns. We went back 2 towns and to Margaritaville. By the time we got to Margaritaville, it was late. It was dark. It was late. We decided we're going to camp there at Margaritaville. That's how it happened. Got to jog my memory. And I'm not going to edit this, so this is it. We get to Margaritaville, which is, like I said, just this open area. I whip out my really, really horrible cook kit, which was actually one of these Coleman propane fuel bottles and a really, really bad, cheap camp stove. I don't even think it had a brand. It was horrible. It barely stayed lit to boil the water, and I used my mess kit to boil the water. And it was, by the time it was all said and done, I barely boiled 4 cups of water to fill them in these pouches with instant mashed potatoes. And I fed the kids. I had more food, but they were all hot and tired and miserable. So after they drank the water, which we were already running low on by this time, they wanted to go to bed. So we bust out the tents. We put them down in a nice flat area off the trail. Bikes are put away. Everybody's good. We're snoozing. Right? About an hour into sleep and 45 minutes into it, minimum. My now 5-year-old shoots up, screaming like a banshee. He wants to go home. He misses his mommy. He is not happy. There's heat lightning in the background. It starts to like strike, and not near us, but it's lighting up the sky. He's freaking out. He wakes up his little baby brother. He starts freaking out. I'm thinking to myself, this is an absolute miserable moment in my life. At this point, I am still close to 15 miles away from my house. Ugh. 15 miles away. And it is late. So me and the older boys, we say, you know what? This is just a failure. A failure. So we don't even pack up the tents. We crush up the tents, throw them in the back of the trailer, roll everything up, throw it back in the other trailer, put the babies in there. We still call them the babies. Put the babies in their trailer. And we just start to bust out of there. We get out of there. I mean, we're humping that trail. We killed the miles like no other. We get out of the trail. My now 12-year-old is exhausted. I'm tired. Water's running low, so I'm starting to ration water. Not really to them, but to myself. I know that I'm pulling a heavy load, but I also know that I can endure more than them. So, and I'm stubborn, and I'm going to give it to my kids before I get it. So we get finally off the trails. So we're on concrete now. So the ride is a little bit more smoother. We get back to the base of the hills, which now we're looking at 2 miles uphill like this. I'm pulling a load. My other boy's pulling a load. The other one's falling asleep on his bike on the bike path. Okay, so all in all, by the time we get home, it's close to 4 o'clock in the morning. We're exhausted. The little guys are already asleep. They were miserable. The older boys actually left their bikes outside. I brought them into the garage. I put the stuff away. I put the little ones into sleep. My wife wakes up the next morning like, what are you doing here? So, yeah, I mean, that was my worst all-time fail at bike camping. And basically, it was a big learning curve, too, for me. Because, one, I didn't have a first aid kit. 2, I learned that just because my kids are necessarily with me, they may not feel safe in the outdoors or way away from everything because they are just children. So I took that into account over and over and over, and progressively I brought the children one-on-one with me outdoors until they were comfortable with it. Brought them into certain areas that they were comfortable with. Taught them how to use their gear so they're comfortable with it, so they can set their own stuff up and practice and practice. So that way now when we go places together that they've never been, they're comfortable with the situation, they're comfortable with their gear, and it makes the experience just overall better for everybody. Now, that being said, I also learned some things about gear. Okay, you need to have, in some aspect, the proper gear, because the proper gear is like me. I am a mechanic. The proper tool for the proper job, the proper gear for the proper situation. Now, you need to look at the situation and assess it. Okay, and that's what a lot of us have learned to do over time. Over time, not just, boom, I'm taking all my children on bikes with me 35 miles away. Now, remember, I'm 35 miles away. By the time this all ended, I had trekked with my children on bike 70 miles. Total round trip. From the very early morning to the night. We were busting butt back home. We were tired. It was, boy, it was something. But, you know, I still cycle, I still camp, I still hike, I still go out on the trails, I still like to try new things with my kids. It was just an experience that I had to grow on. And my children love the story now. And so, at the end of it, even though it was a bike camping fail, it was still a success, because we have a story that nobody else has. And as long as they live, even though the camping experience was horrible, the experience that we all had was great, you know. And sometimes that's really what it's all about.